Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 40 of Not the Worsted Knitting Podcast. My name is Michelle, and I am the knitter and knitwear designer behind meeshyfrazz Knits. Apparently, this is our new thing. I don't know. Legitimately, Tuna has been standing here this whole time. As soon as I hit record, he started scratching on his little scratching post. Anyway, so we are on episode 40. We made it to 40 episodes, which is super exciting. I have a couple fun announcements today, and I guess I'll go ahead and get started with what I'm wearing. Oh, okay, we've got a very active community today. Actually, before I get started on what I'm wearing, I feel like it's so funny. I don't know if you have noticed it at all, but I feel like since Christmas has been done, I have not been able to like replicate the setup that I had before. I don't know what it is, but I keep trying to get like the same kind of focus, the same area for the video, but I feel like it's always a little bit off. So today we've shifted things a little bit more, and I feel like you can like see my tables and everything, which didn't used to be the case. I don't know. You don't care. It's fine. Whatever. Why don't we go ahead and actually get started on knitting content? Because that's really why you're here. Okay. So we will get started with what I'm wearing, which is the Field Day Cardigan by Ozetta. If you have watched me for a while, then you are already familiar with this. This is a DK weight cardigan, and I knit this with Hazel Knits Lively DK in the colorway Shanty Pants. I used basically all of 4 skeins of yarn. I knit the size 1 to achieve the fit of a size 2, and that was going down a needle size additionally. So I definitely had some gauge issues trying to match up with Ozetta's gauge, but I ended up getting a perfect fit once I went down a needle size and dropped an actual garment size as well. I love this cardigan. I wear it all the time. The fact that it's kind of a bold green, it just makes me very happy. It's something that I just adore and have worn a ton this cold season. And speaking of the season, I am in Western Washington, but it is actually sunny today. It's 50 degrees. I don't know what's happening because it's still February, but here we are. We're having amazing weather. So super thrilled about that. It felt like a good day to wear a cardigan. You know, it's something that's kind of a transitional garment. I can take it off if I'm too hot, and I still have layers underneath. So that is what I'm wearing, and I guess we'll go ahead and get chatting about our fun announcements. So the big announcement for today is that my Tally Alley sock pattern is live. It's officially live. So I'm recording this on Thursday, and this is going to drop on Friday, and technically the pattern is coming out today. So the pattern will have already been out for a day if you are watching this on Friday. If you signed up for my newsletter, then you would know right away. So I'll let you know, that's a good heads up. If you want to stay on top of things, definitely subscribe to my newsletter. But this pattern is officially out. I had a lot of fun with the testers on this one. Just because I found that my testers did a lot of different color options. They tried a lot of different styles, and I had several testers who did multiple versions. And a lot of the testers would even do kind of the flip-flop. So they would do one sock, and then the second sock would actually be the reverse. So you would flip the main color and the contrast color. And I think that this pattern lends itself well to doing that, just because it is kind of a wild and crazy pattern the contrast color is almost as dominant, if not maybe more dominant than the main color. So you can really have a lot of fun with it. So really quickly, because I know if you've been watching, then you already know all about this, but I will just briefly chat about these socks. So this one is the speckled version. And so the main color here is Hazel Knits Artisan sock in the color in the navy. And then the contrast color is Salty Blonde Fibers 2-ply sock in the color Burn Book, which honestly, if I could use Burn Book in every project, I would. I really would. I just love this color so much. And then my second one, the main color again is Hazel Knits Artisan sock in the color Vivian. And the contrast colors are a series of KnitPicks Stroll mini skeins. And if you want to know the colors, I will have the breakdown of the colors on the pattern page on Ravelry as well as in the pattern. So if you wanted to do like an exact match of these, you can. And speaking of an exact match, I also have Thomas's sock here, which is the exact match, but for his size, because again, the charts are similar. So I had to do a chart for each size. There are 4 sizes and each size has its own chart. It's just because of the nature of the stitch pattern and making sure it meets the proper stitch count for each size. So some tweaks had to be made. But you'll find that the small, the small and the large sizes have a similar style of chart, as do the medium and extra large sizes. But the medium size versus the large size, or the small size, cue Jeopardy music. Let's see, so medium and large, small and extra large. Oh my goodness. So the medium and extra large, you will see slight differences as you would with the small. I messed up. The medium and the large will be slightly different, as will the small and the extra large. Yeah, wow, that's yikes. So you can see here the slight differences. I think it still gives you the same effect. I tried several different chart ideas and I found that this was the best match, because what I was really going for was that sort of woven technique, that like idea of woven cross-hatching. And so I think that these do a pretty good job of giving the same feeling. Also, I will note, does anybody else have this issue where I have the large size sock blockers, but they are just not big enough? They're really not. Like, I feel like my medium socks, they get a nice stretch on these sock blockers, but the large is always just kind of like, I wish it had just a little bit more to stretch out that sock just a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know. That's a random tangent. I think today's gonna be a tangent video. I feel it in my bones. So anyway, but yeah, I included a comparison photo too, so you can see the side by side of this, just if you want to take a look, if you're curious. I just feel like that's important to note. That way you know. I do think, and I had my testers vote on which chart they preferred in terms of maintaining the same look, and largely they all voted on this one. So I think it gives the same effect, and when you're looking at it from far away and you're seeing everybody's different socks, you can't really tell who did what size. And I think that's a good thing. So the testers were all very happy with the pattern. We only had a couple minor tweaks, just noting on like if and when you need to cut yarn for the heel, because this is color work and you have to think about that. But yeah, largely everything went really smoothly. Really great testing group. They've been sharing them today, and I've been trying to keep up with sharing their posts on my stories. So if you'd like to see some other versions of these knit up, definitely take a look at my Instagram stories, or you can go to Ravelry and you can look at their project pages, because most of them have put their project pages up on Ravelry by now. So yeah, Tally Alley socks are out. And because I'm feeling generous, if you are watching this, then you will get a special discount code. So take a look at that special discount code. You can find that below. It's for a limited time. I'll have all the dates noted. So just, keep an eye on that. Much like Tuna is keeping an eye on us right now. I just noticed him. I don't know how long he's been there. This is gonna be, it's gonna be a wild ride today, I think. Okay, so that's my fun announcement. That is my pattern out, ready to go. Outside of that, I don't have much that's new. I have my work in progress, which if you have watched previously, then you will be familiar with. But I've made some good progress on it. Is this the front? Yes, this is the front. Apologies if there is my hair and Tuna hair and just cat hair. Also, Tuna hair is a weird thing to say. I realize that. I know how that sounds. But you get what I mean. So, anyway, this is my progress on the Broken Reb short sleeve version. So obviously my sweater version is already done. I've written up the pattern for that. And now I'm just doing a tee version. So it's going to be short sleeve. I really want to get started on the sleeves, but I don't know, I'm back and forth on if I should just like stop now and start a sleeve to make sure I like the length, or if I should just keep going until I don't know. we'll see. I might, next time you're on here, you might just have like a sleeve and still an unfinished body, but we'll see. But it's hidden gauge, which is fabulous. The yarn I am using it's HiKoo Sueno in the colorway Mulberry, which I shared last week about my journey deciding on which color I wanted to choose between like a brick red or a plum or even the white. And I felt like this was a perfect in between the red and the plum. I love this color. I am so happy I chose this color. I think this is going to be really beautiful. So it's working up quite quickly, you know, even though it's 22 stitches per 4 inches, which means it's a little bit of a tighter gauge. I still find that it's moving quickly, and I've made good progress on the underarms, which you can see. Can you see? Oh my goodness. But yeah, you can see that there. Got my little cat stitch marker. So this is feeling really good. In terms of the pattern, very, very exciting. I just got my first round edits back from my tech editor this morning. So I don't actually think it's that bad. So fortunately, like no issues with sizing or anything like that. There's, you know, a few things to tweak in terms of like typos, making things a little bit clearer, adjusting a couple of smaller things, but no major changes, which means that I think I will probably be able to do a call for testers probably next week. So keep an eye on this space if you are interested in testing for this guy. I've included instructions for the long sleeve as well as the short sleeve. Again, I'd really love to at least do one of the sleeves at the instructions that I've given to make sure that's what I like before I send it over to testers. So I will make sure I do that. Because obviously if I follow the instructions and don't like that, I don't want to send that along to you guys and then be like, actually, don't do that. So we just have to check on the sleeve length for that, and then, you know, assuming everything else is good, should be ready for testers pretty soon, which is very exciting. So keep an eye on this space. Like I said, also definitely check out my newsletter. You'll hear it there first, just because I can't guarantee that I will be putting the test call out on a Friday, which is typically when I put these videos out. It could come a little bit sooner, it could come over the weekend. So the newsletter will always be the first spot, and Instagram. Honestly, if I share it in my newsletter, it's also gonna be posted on Instagram. But I get not everybody uses Instagram. Newsletter is a much easier way to follow through on that. And I'm actually, speaking of newsletter, I'm thinking about doing a Substack, and I don't know. I don't know if I should just like move everything over to there, just because I'm currently using MailChimp, and as my subscriber base is growing for my newsletter, the pricing system is it's a little tricksy. There were some costs there that I didn't quite expect based on how you bump up in subscribers. So it's got me thinking about other newsletter systems that I want to use. I know I could also do it through my website as well. So I'm just trying to figure that out. But I know a lot of people have been talking about Substack lately. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on if you use Substack, if that's something you're comfortable with and familiar with. Just because I know it's a slightly different style, and I don't know, I'm not sure yet. So just something I'm thinking about. But yeah, so probably going to be having a test call soon for this guy, and I've come up with a name. I don't want to share it yet. I don't know why, but I don't want to share it until the pattern is out. For some reason, I just feel I'm very excited about this pattern, so I just kind of want to keep it all under wraps until the whole thing is ready to go. So that is the progress there. I think, yeah, I don't know how long it'll take before I finish this, but I don't think it's going to be too terribly long. Being that this is a short sleeve version that I'd like to be able to wear in the summer, or at least, you know, springtime and early summer, I don't know that I'm going to necessarily make it as long as my sweater version. I think it'll probably look better if it's a little bit shorter, which means it's a little bit less knitting, on top of only having to do short sleeves. So hopefully not too much longer on this. I'll yeah, do a little close up there so you can see those lines, which are my favorite thing. How would I do this side actually? This side isn't covered in yarn and craziness. So yeah, feeling really good about that. Was really relieved that all my instructions on the ribbing for all the sizes and how it lines up with the 2x2 ribbing and how it lines up with the raglan twisted rib. It seems like all of those instructions made sense, which is such a relief. Like it's kind of a complex pattern, and I was actually pretty nervous about this one sending it to my tester, like maybe more so than my others, just because it's I don't know, it's a lot to translate into making sense for all sizes without the pattern being like 40 pages long. So there are some parts where it's very much explained, and then other parts where it's just like work in pattern. And I wanted to make sure that that was clear enough that you could follow it without it being confusing. And at least with my tech editor, that seems to be the case. So I'll be really curious to see how that translates with testing as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for updates on this guy. So that actually does it for my knitting. You can probably tell I've been a bit busy just with all of these things going on. Obviously I have been making good progress on that tee, but outside of that, I don't have any other knitting to show. I have a few fun things in the works coming up, which is really exciting. So as the weather warms up and as we get into spring and summer, there's going to be a couple of releases coming, which I'm really excited about. I've got my secret summer tee test knit is basically coming to an end, like in the next couple of days. Yeah, everybody's versions look really good. I want to talk about it, but I will wait until we are ready for release on that one. So I do have one more knitting related thing to chat about, and it's an acquisition that I made. It is a book, which you could probably see in the screen. It's more like a tome. This thing is, this thing is massive. This is huge. I know you're probably mostly looking at the cats right now, which is fair. They're wrestling. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you can just see. I don't know if you can hear when they wrestle. Bagel makes like a really high-pitched, like crazy noise. It's just, he's fine, by the way. And I'm pretty sure he started it. Anyway, this is, what is this called? The Anchor Manual of Needlework. And this is a really old book from Interweave. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I couldn't even find an author. I think it's just a compilation of different instructions that they've put together in essentially a manual. And this guy is massive. So this book, I think it originally was published in the 1950s. So it was first published in 1958. And so this is an old book. And so you might be wondering why I decided to grab such an ancient book. And I'm not sure if any of you guys follow Alexandra Brink on Instagram, but I am a huge fan of her reels. And basically her reels, it's kind of like those oddly satisfying videos where mostly what she's sharing is how to mend knitting. And so she's literally just showing you different ways that you can take a giant hole in your knitting and fix it. And it's just a video of her doing that in real time, and you can watch it happen. And it's so satisfying to watch her close up this gap and then you can't even tell what she did. And so I love those videos. Every time she posts a reel, I probably rewatch the thing like 10 times because it's just fascinating to me and it's just so satisfying. But she, just like it was like a couple weeks ago, she posted a reel on Instagram with a certain technique of mending, and she mentioned this book. So yeah, naturally I had to buy it. It was fully impulse. She was talking about it. I swear it was very much like Mean Girls, Regina George did it, so I have to do it too kind of thing. But if you watch Mean Girls, then you know what I'm talking about. But she showed this page, and I legitimately bought this entire book, really for this probably one page, but it's such a good resource. So let me see. Yeah, I think you should be able to see that okay. And what it does, I can't see this at all, so I'm just hoping. Yeah, there we go. All right, and so it's just giving you close-ups of how to mend your holes in knitting. And I think this shows you a couple of different ways. There's like a vertical way and a horizontal way. And so I need to flip through this some more and actually read. I just got this. It just came in the mail a couple of days ago. I bought it used. I don't even know if you can buy this new, but it's in pretty good shape, all things considered. So, you know, not too damaged, I would say. And I got it for super cheap. I was surprised. I thought this was going to be something that, because it's old, was going to be hard to find and expensive, but that was not the case. So I will warn, like, it's got a lot of techniques on all sorts of things. So it's got like sewing, embroidery, anything with stitches, knitting, crochet, and they even have, you know, different types of, like, they even talk about like different techniques in knitting. Now I will say, you know, this book is from the 50s, so the images are not the greatest, but I think in terms of their illustrations, I think they're fine. It's black and white, the whole thing's in black and white, so just go in knowing that. But I think some of this stuff is really valuable to have. I just think it's really good to know how to mend your knitting. I mean, we spend all of this time, all of this money on these garments, and I mean, if we rip it or damage it or something happens to the yarn, I think it's important to be able to mend it in a way that looks just as good as when you first knit it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing a patch that's like purposeful that you're meant to see, but if you want it to be clean, if you want to clean it up in the same way, it's really good to know the right techniques to do it so you're not just like kind of fumbling through and hoping that it works out. So, yeah, I just thought this would be really great to have in my library. I'm such a sucker for a resource book. And it's got a lot of other really cool things in here. Like, it has like different embroidery techniques and all the different stitch types to do different things. And embroidery is actually something that I've always wanted to get a little bit better at and actually do. I've thought about doing embroidery on my designs, but I haven't spent enough time on embroidery to, one, to do that yet, and two, to actually have it written up in a pattern and actually act like I know what I'm talking about. So it's something I want to try. Also, I just got such a kick out of this. My Tally Alley socks have just come out, which is based off of cross hatching. And I just thought it was so fun to see these different techniques because that is basically my Tally Alley motif right there, which is so fun. So on here, it is called a running stitch for anybody who's curious. But yeah, so that is my acquisition for today, for this week. I think this is going to be really nice to have. I don't know if this is something I will often grab for and flip through, but when it comes to anything that, you know, I want to do in terms of mending or maybe learning a little bit more about stitches with embroidery or any sort of techniques like that, I think this will be really nice to have. So that's it for all knitting chat for me today. Relatively short episode for me today, can you believe it? And so the only thing I have left to chat about is my regular book chat, which I am still reading The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. I am almost done. I probably almost finished it last night, but I didn't. I fell asleep. But we're just at the end now. It started to really pick up. Things have happened, and now you're just picking up the final pieces of what's going on this mystery. People are kind of coming back together in a way, and like the reveal is happening. And I love that moment in the book where all the pieces kind of fall into place. And I really enjoyed this one. It was an interesting read because I really enjoyed it and found the content really interesting. But at the same time, it felt like this has been a slow read for me. Like it took me a little bit to get into, which is weird to say because I was really interested in it, but it still felt a little bit slow in the beginning. So just know that. I think it takes a little bit to kind of get its pacing because you're constantly shifting back and forth between characters, and then sometimes you're shifting back and forth between present and past. And so there's a little bit of that you kind of have to be okay with. And I don't even know if it was that was jarring for me. I don't think it was necessarily jarring. It just took a little bit for me to kind of like find my groove in the book. But I'm really enjoying it and would definitely read more from her. I feel like I've read another book from Lucy Foley, but I'm not entirely sure. So I need to look back at my Kindle stats and see if that is something that I've read in the past. I'm not sure. So that's it for my book chat for today. And thank you so much for watching if you stuck around till now. If you are interested in my Tally Alley socks, definitely get that discount code below, and that'll only be running for a little bit of time. Thank you so much for your interest on this, and my testers, thanks to my testers. If any of my testers are watching, you guys are awesome. And I just, really excited about this one. Really want to knit a ton of versions. The worst thing about this pattern is that I want to knit new versions. So I will knit one sock, and then instead of doing the pair, I'm like, ooh, but what would it look like if I did this color combination? And so I already have 3.5 single socks that need pairs. So I need to cool it. I need to chill. I need to make the pairs of these. But I'm really excited that pattern is out. And yeah, so if you have any questions or if you would like to get in touch with me, I am meeshyfrazz on Instagram, Ravelry, and Blue Sky. I am meeshyfrazz@gmail.com, and you can find me at my blog, which is meeshyfrazzknits.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.